Welcome to Ideas to Implementation, the podcast for women who have a business idea but feel stuck in a job. Featuring real women with real stories of how they went from employee to boss. My guest today is entrepreneur and business owner Amantha King. Welcome, Amantha. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you, Simone. It's a pleasure to be here.
Brilliant. Well, let's get into it. Tell us about yourself and your business and what you do.
So I'm an NLP coach, and NLP stands for Neuro-Linguistic Programming. So that's a bit wordy, isn't it? But intrinsically, I'm a coach, and the toolkit that I tend to draw on is NLP. And often when people say to me, what is NLP? I say to people, it's a bit like a piece of string. When you think of how many uses you could apply with a piece of string, NLP is the same. It's all about changing your behaviours. So if there's anything in your life that you don't want to be there, or there's something in your life that's missing, NLP can really help you with that. So that's what I do. I'm an NLP coach. So I do a lot of personal development, a lot of corporate executive development. And I even work with children because it can be absolutely used everywhere. And my client base is from about the age 7 to 77.
Wow.
So it's vast. It's brilliant.
Brilliant. So how did you get into NLP coaching? What were you doing before? Tell us a bit about the journey.
So my journey went a bit like this. I hurriedly went off to university in 1990, and partway through 1994, when I was about to graduate, I suddenly thought, I need to get a job. I had no idea what I wanted to do. I was studying applied biology, and I definitely knew that I wanted to be involved in science. I sort of missed the boat to be a doctor because I hadn't really worked hard enough, but I still wanted to be in science. So I can really remember going along to a couple of interviews, and I think I was going to do something like clinical research. That was it, clinical research associate. And a lady said to me, well, why don't you go and be a medical rep first? Because that will give you a really good grounding, lots of great skills. If you still want to be in clinical research, come back to us. And so I did exactly that. I took her advice, and I went into the pharmaceutical industry, and I stayed there for 12 years. So I worked my way up. I was originally a representative selling concepts, selling medicine concepts to GPs, nurses, pharmacists, hospital doctors. And I absolutely loved it, Simone. It was just the best job ever. Wow. It actually didn't feel like going to work. I met so many amazing people. I joined a wonderful company. It was a global pharmaceutical company. I'm still friends with so many of those people. And the culture was great. It was work hard, play hard. And I got so many amazing skills from that time, working by myself, being out on the road every day, having to plan my time. So I spent 12 very, very happy years there.
Sounds like you really enjoyed it, obviously. So why go out on your own? Why did you start your business?
It's a really good question. So like most things with a career, you can put your all into it. And 12 years is a long time doing the same job. I did various roles. I worked my way up to a management level. I was starting to get a little bit stale, if I'm honest. I mean, my company were brilliant. They recognised that, and they sent me to see an NLP coach. And his name was Andrew. You know where this is going. And Andrew was absolutely brilliant. He could see in me that something needed to change. And I remember so clearly, he said to me, what do you think you want to do in the next 5 years? And quick as a flash, I just turned around to him and I said, I think I'd like to do your job, Andrew. And equally quick as a flash, he said, I think you'd be great at it. And that was the seed. That was the moment. Now, I didn't actually do anything about that for I was just working it out actually. It must have been another 5-6 years. I actually didn't do anything about that because brilliantly, I fell pregnant with my daughter.
Okay.
And so I decided, do you know what? That was my calling. I had not anticipated being a mum. It wasn't on my life plan. And honestly, it just blew me away. I was just so into it. but in the back of my mind, I had this little seed. And when she was about 2 years old, I went and retrained. I'd already got a practitioner qualification because my company recognised I was getting a bit bored, and they put me through that process. So I then just converted that to being a coach.
Wow. And been doing that ever since then?
And I've been doing that ever since. So to get the ball rolling, you know, my daughter was 2. I retrained and became an NLP coach, like I say, and then I just allowed things to sort of bubble up. I took my time, which isn't like me, actually. I'm quite an impulsive person, and I sort of like just get straight on, but I really did take my time. And like I say, when she was 2, I thought, yeah, okay, I'm ready now. So I got going, started business planning, working out what my values are. And that's a really important concept in NLP. We talk a lot about what are your work, home, personal values, even your friendship values. And so I sat down and had a really good think about those, and came up with this idea. I came up with this idea of, you know what, I could be a female version of Andrew,
right,
and I could help people, and it just fitted so brilliantly with my family values, which were, I want to be a stay-at-home mum first and foremost. I only have one child, and I wanted to fully immerse myself in that experience. And so it was like, tick, 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 yes, let's do it.
Brilliant. So obviously the seed, and like you said, it was there bubbling in the back of your mind, even while raising your daughter. But what gave you the confidence to just, okay, let me do this now? Because it's scary, I would say, isn't it? It's not the easiest thing to just start out on your own, especially when you've had such a great career like you had. What gave you confidence?
It's a really good question, because I think it was the experience of having my daughter. When you have children, it is chaos.
Yeah.
You know, your brain gets rewired in a totally different way. And I wouldn't have said I was a very creative person before I had my daughter, but I think having had that time, I just became more creative. I became more of a can-do person, and it was this value of freedom. I wanted to have the freedom to decide. I wanted to be able to say, you know what, I can work between 9 and 3. I can be here every night to be with her. I don't want to work weekends. I'm quite an away from person in terms of motivation. I think about what I don't want, and then it informs what I do want. So it really did just give me that confidence that, yeah, the facts were all stacking up, that this is a really good decision. And I was really lucky because my husband is in full-time employment as well. So it just worked. And the more I thought, I mean, because I'd already agreed with my company, I was going back. I'd said, yeah, no problem, I'm coming back. But actually, as time went on, that seed had grown quite a lot inside of me. And it had made me realise, you know what, it's now. You know, I could take the safe option and go back, or I could do this thing that I'm really passionate about. And I just went for it. So I think it's confidence, Simone. I think it was like a fire in me. It really was. I just became determined.
Yeah, determined. Love that word. And determination, that's a key word when starting your business, isn't it? And then when you're running your business, because you've got to be determined to keep going as well, because there's starting and then there's that longevity and sticking with it.
Absolutely. And that's why I think, for anyone who's thinking about starting their business, I would say time is brilliant, because with time you get to mull things over. You can play scenarios around in your head before having to actually commit to anything. So that is not lost time. Often when I say to people that I work with, you know, thinking is such an important pastime. Never trivialize that. It is so helpful to you. You can role play things through, and some things might fall by the wayside, and that won't have been a bad thing. So determination, absolutely, I'm with you on that 100%.
I love what you said there about time and using the time to mull things over. Just using time wisely. It's such an important, I always say time is one of the greatest commodities we have, because it's the only thing that once it's spent, we don't get it back. So use it wisely.
True. I think we live in a time, though, where people think unless they're doing, they're not adding value, and thinking is so critical to what you do next. So yeah, I think we agree completely.
Yeah, we really do. So that confidence, obviously, and were there any challenges? I mean, what was the greatest challenge for you that you faced starting the business?
I think I think it was actually very practically setting up systems. You know, when you're a sole trader and when you're starting out, unless you have the luxury of people backing your business, which I didn't, you've got to do everything yourself, you know, and that's Excel spreadsheets, which are interesting for a while. You know, you have to be your own accountant, you have to be a great marketeer. I think it was all of those things. I think, again, it was the setting up of systems. Now, I'm fairly computer literate. And again, it was, again, researching that stuff and finding out. I was trying to keep my costs as low as possible. And also maximizing, you know, I like to know every bit of what I'm doing. I don't know about you, but, you know, I want to be all over it. You know, nothing's too uninteresting for me. I just want to know about it. But I think that really did present its challenges. But I will tell you about one of those challenges that I absolutely loved, which was actually my logo. Okay. So I sort of thought, I could go with, you know, there's lots of brands on the web, aren't there, where they'll make up a logo for you. And I could have gone down that route, but I thought, no, again, I want to really own my brand. So I sort of went all out and had someone design my logo for me. And it's actually just a series of bubbles that when you put them together, it looks like the human brain. Yeah, which is perfect. And it was challenging, but I was really happy to share that experience with all my friends, all my colleagues, and I got some great feedback. And that's something else I would suggest, getting feedback from people you really trust. Opinions are great. You don't have to listen to them, you know, and that was fantastic. And so many people still say now, nearly 10 years later, wow, what a great logo. And I do lots of things to help me attach myself to that logo. I think about the colours, even the colours I wear, you know, the materials I take into sessions, it all complements. So I think that was a really nice challenge. Challenge sometimes can be seen as quite a negative word, but actually it was a really positive challenge for me. And of all of them, it's one I really enjoyed.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, challenge seen as a bad word or difficult, but actually the good thing about a challenge is that it's the process of finding solutions, and I think that's what makes challenges great. I mean, if life was all plain sailing, it wouldn't be very much fun, would it? Let's be honest.
No. Well, I think for a while, I think people, you know, I like an easy day here or there. But actually, I think if you're that way inclined, and if people listening to this podcast are thinking about taking that next big step, absolutely, you know, there will be challenges, and there may be many to start off with. Actually, believing in what you're doing will carry you over many a rough tide, I think.
Yeah, exactly. And you've been in business for 10 years, is that right? You said there.
10 years in December.
Wow, well done. That's no mean feat. You know, not everyone hits that. So congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that.
What do you feel has been it's probably not one thing, I know that, but sort of the main thing or things that have kept you in business for 10 years and a successful business at that?
I think it's just being passionate about what you do, Simone. I mean, anyone who meets me in the street, straight after saying hello, I'm always talking about my work and how much I love it. Wow. You know, I never miss an opportunity. I think what keeps you going is really identifying with what you do. Mm-hmm. You know, when you find that passion and you believe in it, you just become the best ambassador for what you do. And people often say to me, oh, I've been Amantha'd. It's become like a verb. And I take that as a real compliment, because the thing that keeps me going is the difference I'm making in people's lives. I see people who feel quite downtrodden in careers. I see young adults that are struggling to find a place in the world. And honestly, nothing makes my heart soar and feel more alive than when I see them going out the door, feeling, you know, better about themselves, having that confidence, that self-belief, that determination, all the things that we should all have on tap, really. Yeah, exactly. That's what keeps me going. And in 10 years, honestly, it doesn't feel like work. Yeah. It just feels like I was born to do this. Yeah. I feel like I've really found my purpose in life, and therefore I wouldn't be doing anything else.
And isn't that key, finding your purpose and really living your purpose? Because the passion's all over you. I mean, since we've been
sorry.
Really, because you're passionate, and that comes across. And so people that work with you, I'm sure, feel that passion, and it gives them hope as well. And I've got to say, I love that you said you work with children as well, because making that difference to people from such a young age, I mean, that would just set them up for their life. And it's so important, especially now when we see so much going on with young people, negativity. For you to be providing positivity, I just think is awesome. I really do.
Well, and actually that was a part of my business that I hadn't anticipated. About 4 or 5 years ago, I literally was, every client that was walking through the door was somewhere between the ages of about 40 and 60, or, in well-paid jobs, but feeling really quite disgruntled. And it all starts in your childhood. We have so many, peel back the layers. We're all the same underneath. We've all got our insecurities. Some of us have got a better poker face than others. But actually, when we allow ourselves to fully tune into who we are, we're all the same. And actually, I just thought, if I could get to children sooner and help them realise just how brilliant they are, to be able to tap into that themselves. And again, I have a number of recommendations from young people who go, do you know what, this should be in schools. I'm pushing for that as well. But there's not the funding there, but yeah, I love, and so for me to diversify my business in that way has been really great. So I'm enjoying that as much as anything.
Awesome. And we've spoken about the challenges. What's been the greatest achievement for you so far in 10 years?
I would have to say having my daughter, because I was a very, very different person. Most people who knew me before I started doing this would say actually I was probably quite a driven person, probably just very determined, probably not much of a people person, I would say. And I would say having that time to raise a child, my goodness, your flaws are going to be right in front of you, aren't they?
Yes, they are.
Your weaknesses, there's no hiding away from them. And actually during that time, I honestly felt the greatest achievement for me was believing in myself, seeing that I could be something other than a sales representative, feeling that actually I had something to bring to the world. So I feel being a parent has really just opened up my creativity. And there'll probably be lots of women listening to this who either have started a family, are in the throes of raising a family, or may not have had a family at all. But actually for women, I think it's just that we have a lot of scripts, don't we, about not believing in ourselves and, knowing our place. And actually, I think just having space, I keep mentioning that, time and space to go, do you know what do I really want to be doing?
Yeah.
And actually, sometimes I say to people, what don't you want to be doing? And having my daughter made me realise I didn't want to go back to a job that, although it was incredibly well paid, it didn't tick my values anymore. I had changed. And I think she allowed me, in that process of being a mum to her, I could see that I had changed, and therefore I needed to find a career that fitted in with the new me.
Yeah, and that's key. What is it that you don't want? You said earlier that you're a moving away from person, but I think, that is such an important question. Even when I speak to my clients, I pose questions like that. Okay, we focus on, what you want, but what's the pain that you want to move away from? Because sometimes we're driven more by pain than we are actually, that pleasure. So I love that you brought that in actually. And yeah, just realizing you're a different person. You were a different person having your daughter really brought that out. And I think for women, I don't want to take over, but I love this conversation.
No, absolutely.
Yeah, the women listening, whether it's raising a family or whatever, we go through seasons of life and we change, and it's okay to change and realize actually I'm not that person I was X amount of years ago, and that's okay. What do I want life to look like for this person today?
Completely. In a nutshell. And I think that is the capacity of the human form. We're not done just because we were born. We will change. Nature, nurture tells us that our environment will impact on us hugely. And more so than ever, I want women particularly to realise that. I want everyone, I think children, men, women, everyone. And age, again, I get quite fired up about the whole age thing. It's never too late to go, do you know what, I had this idea and I think it could work. Go for it.
Yeah, exactly. I love that. Go for it. Do it. What's the worst that can happen? It doesn't.
Well, comes back to my, I don't subscribe to failure. I've removed that word from my life. And one of my favourite quotes is there's no such thing as failure. There's only feedback. And any inventor will tell you that. Actually, just because something didn't pan out in terms of an invention doesn't mean it was wasted. Actually, it just meant you haven't found the right solution. And I honestly don't subscribe to failure. Everything is feedback. It either tells you do it differently, or it says keep doing it the way you were doing it. So I think the minute people let go of that, if there was no such thing as failure, what would we be doing?
So much more. So much more. It's so true. That's brilliant. Thank you for that. I wanted to get, so you're obviously very passionate about your business, and we can see that, and we've spoken about that. How do you balance life and business, and how is that for you?
It's a good question. I think, again, because the model of what I've chosen is I only work the school hours. Sometimes I will go away with work. Again, that has to fit in with what the family are doing. Family is everything to me. Absolutely is everything to me, as are my close friendships. And so to balance out of that, I spend a lot of time in the garden. I love gardening. I'm a sales girl at heart, so I really like to see results. And so things like gardening, it's instant gratification. You dig something here, you plant something there, things start growing. It's wonderful. I love cooking. I did an A level in cookery, and I did it because it was an easy option, but it's probably, out of all the things I've learned, the thing that I use most. I absolutely love experimenting. I was experimenting this weekend with chickpea water, which can make meringues. There you go. I'm a scientist as well, so I love to do things like that. And meditation and walking, those are new things that I've brought into my life, because I am a real thinker. I think about everything. Until I shut my eyes at night, I've got a lot of self-talk going on in this head. Yeah. And so going for walks, meditating, it just gives that stopgap. Again, it comes back to that thinking piece I mentioned earlier. Thinking helps you just get straight. Okay, something's very challenging. I had quite a challenging day yesterday. Now, if I didn't deploy some of those strategies, that thinking could take over a little bit. So, practicing what I preach is about finding that thing. And for me, cooking, walking, gardening, it's just that break of state where I can go, I need to think about something else. And then usually what happens is I come back and I'm okay about whatever that thing was that I was thinking. So lots of doing. And again, those are things that I can connect with my friends and family on. So I like to be around people, and I can do being on my own as well,
But I love that, finding something for you as well, that break space and things like that. I think that's great advice for everybody. From myself, I take that definitely, and for everyone listening. So that's the 3 pieces of, you've been given great advice while we've been speaking, but if we could just sort of summarize 3 pieces of advice for a woman listening right now, watching, who wants to start a business, has a business idea, but probably lacks confidence so far to go out and start it.
I think it's such a good question. I think the first thing I would say is be passionate. If you can think of something that you just believe in, that you can find an identity with. For example, I identify with my business because I want to help. So doing what I do enables me to fulfill that identity of helping. So that's brilliant. So number 1, I'd say, be passionate and identify with your passion, whatever that is. Okay. I would say positive energy. Because energy, we're all energy anyway, so you might as well jostle around positively with it and be the best ambassador for your brand, at every opportunity. Even in the early days when I wasn't totally sure I was going to do this, I was telling people I was going to do it. So I would read, and not to hang too much on people's responses, because that's their stuff, not yours. And I would say keep learning. I love learning. You can't see it, but in this office, it is full of books. Right. It is absolutely full of books. I don't read necessarily all of the books, but what I do is I keep up to date with my skills, my knowledge, my learning. Keeping current is so important in business, and keeping up to date is really important. So I'd say it would be those 3 things. Be passionate and have your purpose. I would say keep your energy positive at all times and keep learning. Keep building that knowledge.
Excellent. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure talking to you. Like I said, your passion comes across. I love it. And I think it's key. And I love that that was a piece of your advice. Be passionate about it, because when all else, when you do meet challenges, when you come up against things, it's passion that will keep you going. It's that love for what you do and that belief in actually this is me and this is the right thing for me to do that will keep you going. So I love that. Thank you so much for your time, Amantha.
Oh, thank you, Simone. It's been absolutely brilliant. And I would just hope that any ladies or anyone listening to this just, feel the fear and do it anyway.
Yeah, that's a great piece of advice. And how do people get in touch with you, Amantha? Give you a contact?
Oh, that's brilliant. Thank you for asking. So people can contact me. I'm on Twitter. I think you've got my details, but my it's Amantha King Coaching @gmail.com. I'm on LinkedIn as well. So if people want to search for me there, usually if you type Amantha, there's not many of us there. I'll pop up. But yeah, on all the usual platforms. I'm on YouTube as well, and Twitter and Instagram. But yeah, be in touch. I always love to speak to people. And during this current time, I must just say, I'm doing a lot of just Zoom calls with people, just as a free service. So if anybody is interested, get in touch with me. I'll be more than happy to have a chat.
Oh, brilliant. I'll make sure to put your contact details, the links under the videos and on Spotify and things. So yeah, brilliant. Thank you so much again. It's been an absolute
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Ideas to Implementation. Please don't forget to like, comment, share and subscribe so you never miss an episode. Until next time.